always hard to keep the time when you're having a good time backstage. But as usual, YouTube sends me a notification that there's a video I should watch. So that's kind of my hint to get started. Welcome all, and welcome to our guest down here, James. This is the European Ham Radio Show. And we're going to start off, as we usually do, by our Ham Radio Week. And perhaps you, James, as our guest, want to talk a little bit about your Ham Radio Week?
Not done an awful lot this week. I'm fairly sort of radioed out from last week, because, as you know, we had the mega stream last week, so absolute carnage on Saturday night, and been busy working out the results on that, which we have here. We will be announcing later on the channel. That's been kept under lock and key for the meantime. There's only three of us that actually know the results from that. There's Callum, myself, and G5STU, who's in the chat. He did the fancy computer work for it, where we all put our logs in and he works out who won. So that's a bit later on. We'll be announcing that on my channel after this live stream tonight. But other than that, not really done an awful lot radio-wise.
Yeah, but you could at least tell the viewers that don't know your channel, tell them about your channel and a little bit about your ham radio story.
Okay, so for me, I came into it quite a few years ago and had a little bit of a break, and came back into ham radio about 4 or 5 years ago. And someone sort of said, well, maybe you should start up a channel. And it sort of went from there. My channel's mainly, I would say, I mainly do portable operations. So I do quite a bit of SOTA, a little bit of worldwide flora fauna, done a couple of POTAs, and we do a few live streams as well. So probably about once every 2 or 3 months, there's a group of us around the UK. We all get together and have a little bit of a chin wag, much like you guys are doing now. So a bit of a weird mix on my channel, I would say.
Yeah, but that's good enough. I noticed your channel, I guess it's about 6 months ago. And then you have the honors of pushing me past 1,000 subs on your stream, actually, at one point.
Yeah, well, I spotted you. You were live with Tim, weren't you? G5TM.
Yep,
and Tim was due on our channel immediately afterwards. And I saw you had a prize up. You were trying to give away a prize if you got to 1,000 subs. So I kind of tried to push you over that 1,000 subscriber on my channel. I think we just about did it. Well, I think we.
Yeah, I think I got about 30 new subscribers after your stream, so I'm grateful for that. Help. So let's until we get to the topic, let's go on with our weeks. I don't know if we do it. We'll move next to you, James. Kjetil, how about your ham radio week?
It's been very quiet when it comes to radio. I have prepared for this stream by breaking my main antenna. Because I was dragging the boat up on shore, and that hooked on the long wire antenna and just tore it in half. So I have to make a new one. Other than that, I've just been doing maintenance on the cabin, changed the entire solar panel and regulator, and did actually test it with my radio next to it. And the new solar charge regulator is a lot more quiet. Like there was... the old one was like plus 60 decibels on 80 meters, and the new one is plus 5 or something. So it will actually be possible to work HF from the cabin without disconnecting the solar rig. So that's fun. And also I've done a lot of filming, some drone filming, some just playing around with a new camera, and a lot of carpentry. So that's not very radio related.
Yeah, but at least there's something. Bob, your week?
Yeah, I can't remember as usual, but let's see. Tuesday we have the 10-meter net. Thursdays we have I run the 2 meters sideband net. Friday I went to SOTA Summit, and the sky opened up completely once I got to the top, so I didn't get to activate. So I had to walk back down. But today I did a what I call the Virgin Summits on the Air Summit, a summit that's not been activated before. Lima Alpha Tango Mike 234. I haven't uploaded yet, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That was one of my goals for this season to do a Virgin Summit. I think that about sums it up. Not an awful lot.
But that's, I mean, you're probably the most active of us, though, doing radio. Although you say that you haven't done a lot, you've actually done a lot, and that's not while you have vacation, though, because you have a work week in addition to everything you've done.
Yeah, that is true, and I'm not burdened with creating videos and content of the things that I do. I just go out and operate. I don't even upload logs. I think I'm 2 months behind now with my Summits on the Air uploads. So yeah, I just enjoy myself.
And let's move one up, Tobias. We've done a
Yeah,
little bit of ham
I
radio
guess
this
I don't
week.
have to tell you what we did this week.
No,
we,
we built a Pixie.
Exactly. 2 days of Pixie building. And I think on Monday, I fixed my 12-meter spider pole, took it apart, cleaned the individual elements, replaced 2 elements, and put it all back together. So that was more or less my ham radio week.
Yeah, but that's not bad. And the Pixie we built, we have one working, that's yours. And mine's working in the way when I plug the power in, the little red LED lights up.
I think we'll get it working. Don't worry.
So, but that's not half bad, though. And you, Walt, you've been doing some parks on the air on a sand dune.
Yeah, had a good weekend. My wife and I took off Friday midday, and we spent the weekend out on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which is a quick drive for me. It was a little over an hour, and we spent the weekend out there on the banks. And Friday night, I climbed to the top of Jockey's Ridge, which is one of the largest and highest points on the Outer Banks. It's a sand dune. I don't know how high it is. It's like a little mini mountain to climb up it. I know I was out of breath when I got to the top. And then the wind was like, it was like about to blow me over, but had a great activation. I had a great pile up and put the video out on that yesterday. But it was a lot of fun. I was really surprised. I had a vertical, half-wave antenna vertical for 20 meters. So, it was a little over 10-meter long wire on a DX commander pole. And when I started, I thought I was just going to be, it's POTA. I'll get, I'll get spotted, and then I'll have half of the United States all over me. But I actually operated more of Spain than I did the United States. It was like every other call was an Echo Alpha, Echo America, whatever. I was just like booming into Spain, which was kind of crazy. And so that was fun. I had a fun weekend of radio. Got up Saturday morning and took that same antenna down out on the beach. We were staying right on the beach, so I just walked out the door, put the antenna out at the beach. Got up like as the sun was rising and the gray line was coming in, and I decided that was going to be a QRP morning. So with 10 watts, I got on. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the here in the States, we get it on Saturday mornings, the Southern Cross Net on 20 meters, which is VK and ZL back over to the States. Occasionally we get some Europeans on there, but 10 watts QRP with that same antenna on the beach. I worked some VK, which was really cool, and so did that yesterday morning, and then I packed all the radio gear up and was a good husband the rest of the weekend at the beach, taking my wife wonderful places and shopping and the restaurants and eating seafood, and just enjoyed ourselves. So it was a fun weekend of radio. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely. And last week you said you didn't get to do much radio, so
Yeah.
I guess you've made up for it this week.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I've made up for this week as well. It's been my last week of vacation, so next week I'm looking probably at a 7-day work week next week. So I've done a little bit of radio this week. I started out with a new POTA park. I managed to get a park added in the POTA database, so I did the first activation there, about 20 meters from the railway tracks. So I had a permanent S7 to S9 noise floor. That made sideband impossible, but I did it on Digimodes. No video though, because watching someone do FT8 is more boring than watching paint dry. Then I've wandered a little bit into 11 meter CB, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking forward to comments on that video when that drops in about a week and a half. Took a look at that old Zodiac radio and opened it up, checked that everything was fine, and checked if it had any output power. Still haven't been out doing any QSOs with it, but at least it's ready to go out for some QSOs. And then me and Tobias built the Pixie. And finally, I did a POTA today. Had a little bit of a pileup. Got 21 in the log in about 20 minutes. So that was great. And I haven't really had time for anything else. So
Cool.
antennas and antenna building. I guess that's the topic for today. I don't know
Yeah,
who wanted to.
we should tell James, in case he hadn't watched all of our streams, that just means we're going to spend 2, maybe 3 minutes talking about that, and the rest of it is going to be everything else.
Yeah, the topic's just a guideline, and then we
sounds like one of our streams. We sort of set a topic, and then we all kind of diverge off.
Yeah. We tend to squirrel off in all kinds of directions. I see that Nathan asked if I get noise from the railway. I did when we were about 20 meters from it, and it's electric though, so I guess that was it. I live about 300 meters from the railway line, and I can see the noise floor go up a little bit when the trains pass, but not all the time. But yeah, a little bit of noise.
The biggest noise from those trains are apparently when they're braking, because they got regenerative brakes, so they're feeding power back in when they're braking. So if you live somewhere close to where there's lots of starts and stops, like near a big city, then those guys apparently hear it very well.
Yeah, and the thing is though, it was about kilometer, less than a kilometer away from the railway station. So I guess the trains were braking. Nathan said he thought trains were DC and they're AC, and they're at some kind of weird rate though. I think it's 16 1/3 hertz DC.
Okay, it's 16 2/3.
Yeah, perhaps something like that. It's
it's exactly 1/3 of 50. I'm too tired to do that in my head, but it's 1/3. Yeah.
We discussed it at a club meeting, but it was most of the discussion was far behind my ability to comprehend what the others were talking about. So
that's the best kind of discussion.
Yeah. Hey James, I got a question. You built a kite antenna before, right? Didn't you have a video on that?
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Yeah, there's a couple of videos on my channel with that. First time was a complete disaster. The wire broke. Last time was.
I remember watching those a while back when you first put them up. I'm seriously thinking about. I've got a nice kite. I'm seriously thinking about doing that at the beach. I need to go back and watch your videos again on that. What did any pointers? Any tips?
Make sure the string doesn't break. No, I mean, what wire are you planning on using? I mean, you need to make sure all joking aside, you need to make sure the wire's got enough tension in it. I use like military grade, which has got the Kevlar on the inside. Right. I actually use DX50 from Callum, DX Commander. So that's the wire I use. I've got a fairly substantial kite, so the kite's rated to pull about 90 kilos, I think it is.
Oh wow!
And the wire's rated to 130. So just make sure you get enough tension in there. And as Nathan says, don't fly the kite in a thunderstorm.
I was
they make quite a big deal about
using the regular kite string and maybe attaching the wire to the string as I go up. And then another idea I had: there's a cable, like a fishing line that's metal. It's used for shark fishing here in the States. The shark, it's pretty strong. I was thinking about maybe doing that. Curious though, what lengths did you use? Did you do like an end-fed half wave or a random wire, or what was your thought on?
Yeah, I cut it for. I've done a end-fed half wave for 20 meters. So that's obviously only 10 meters long, and then I scaled it up. I did an end-fed half wave for 40, so that's good on both 40 and 20. So it's basically end-fed half wave. Well, I was about to say it's an end-fed half wave vertical, but it's more of a sloper, really. Right. But 40 meters, it's fairly sort of omnidirectional.
I've looked at those kite antennas, and my issue with kites is actually getting the kite up in the air and stable enough to fly. And I'm just wondering, what's the trick about that?
That's because you buy a kite that costs about £2 at a children's toy shop.
Exactly. I have kids, so I use their kites.
I've been wanting to do this for a long time. The problem is every time I get ready to do it, and it happened to me again today. I got the wheels turning. I'm going to do the kite antenna. I will see someone else do it. Like just today on K4 SWL's blog, he's talking about a kite antenna. I'm like, damn it, I don't want to like do the same thing everybody else is doing, and I don't want to be accused of copying somebody, whatever. I'm like, all right, I'll put that off.
That's the problem with running a YouTube channel, isn't it? You try and cater it to what other people are doing because you don't want to be seen to be copying. And I don't know. I think I got lucky with the timing on that. I got it just right. I didn't see any other videos went up, for quite some time before mine.
But there's nothing wrong in getting some inspiration.
Off the back of that.
Yes.
Oh, I get inspiration, and I usually will say in my videos where I got the inspiration from. Like the first time I did the Ribikoff antenna, I was like, I don't think anyone's ever done a video on this. I typed in Ribikoff, and boom, there goes Tim G5TM. So I was like, you know what? I mentioned him. I watched his videos, studied everything he did, and actually put him in the video saying that, hey guys, he went in depth with it. You know what I mean? He modeled it and did all. I was just building it or whatever. So
I think Tim's modeled just about every antenna, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think Tim has modeled more antennas than is built, actually.
He's great. His channel's great for that. But I also, when I see that type of thing, I like to give credit where credit's due. I know a lot of times I'll build an antenna, and suspiciously about a week later, I see it looks like almost my video over again by somebody. I'm like, come on, man. You know what I mean? And that happens. It really does. So I don't want to be that guy. I really don't. So I try to, like I said, the kite antenna is going to happen eventually. Yeah. What's that?
If you're going to do it, you try and put your own twist on it, don't you? I mean, I'd seen plenty of people do kite antennas, but when I did it, I don't think, or I hadn't seen anyone do it on the SOTA Summit. So I thought, right, here we go, SOTA Summit, SOTA kite. I think a couple of people have done it.
I've seen a lot of kiting at some of my SOTA summits. For example, at Gaustatoppen, Tango Mike 001, during winter, people are kiting uphill, and they're then floating down on them like the big kites. And also on the beach, where I'm doing is for a Fowlman Park Zone, there's a lot of kiters, except for one place which is at the end of the airport, where there for some reason is a ban on kiting.
That's probably fairly reasonable.
But it would be very fun to go there with when the kite you use, was that one of those does it look like a parachute, or is it more like a traditional kite, a box kite or something?
I use a sled kite, so it's basically the square type aerofoil type. Okay. It's, they tend to be a bit more stable than the others.
I've got one that looks like a squid or a big octopus. I thought that would be really cool over the ocean. You know what I mean? You got a big octopus flying over or whatever. So I've had it for
how stable it is as well. You want something really stable.
Yeah, that is true. I'll get around to it eventually. I've got everything ready to go except for the wire and how long I'm going to make it. I'm actually thinking about doing a long wire with a 9-to-1, like a long wire random wire type antenna using a 9-to-1. I might do that.
Oh, well, you just need some kind of counterpoise, but because you're near the sea, you've got the saltwater amplifier there.
Yeah.
That should work really well for you. I've always done it as an end-fed half-wave. Just put a 49-to-1 on it.
Good. I'll put my spin on it as a random wire then. Then everybody can't say, oh, he's copying James.
Yeah, absolutely. I tried it once with a tuner, but I found it a bit finicky, and also I didn't have the best ground for it. So for me, using a tuner at the base didn't really work.
Nathan, flying squid.
We're not going to get we're not going to get into that issue though. But I mean, it doesn't really matter what kind of antenna you build and make a video on, because someone's already done it. Most of the antennas you do, and I mean, someone's done a SOTA video, someone's done a POTA video, so it's all about putting your own spin on it. And as Walt says, give credit where credit's due, as I've done in my Ribikoff videos. I've quoted both Walt and Tim in those. I didn't actually know that my antenna was a Ribikoff when I bought it. I have got the what's it called? It's called a Magitana. I don't remember who makes it, but it's a British antenna. And I've said it a lot of time. It was claimed to be an all-purpose antenna. It didn't work like that until I figured out that it was a Ribicuff and I could put it vertical, and then it would turn out to be a pretty good antenna, actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that seems to be anything like that with a 4-to-1 that's short. Vertical is the way to go. It obviously is. I think so. I've done now a couple different antennas. I did a what I call the 17.5, and we were just talking about Tim. There you go.
Yeah.
He's actually on a windy hill. Are you out operating, Tim? He can if he hears us, he can comment on that. I have a question for
group earlier. I think he's he's out on the hill somewhere. He was talking about doing a live stream later on. I don't know if he's still planning that or not, but he's out and about.
Yeah.
Nice. I have a question for James about the DX50. Is that Kevlar lined, the DX50? Is the Kevlar inside the DX50 wire?
So you got the outer green sheath, and then you got the Kevlar runs the length of it inside, and then the wire inside that. Yeah. So I'll just peel back the end, cut away the Kevlar, and solder it up, and then put all the tension on the wire. So the tension's basically taken by the Kevlar. Just makes it a bit stronger.
You use that both to hold the kite and as the antenna, or did you have another string up there to hold the kite?
Can do. After my first experience where I lost the kite into the sunset, I kind of like to have 2 layers of safety on it. So I run the wire takes the tension of the kite, but then I have the kite string which runs parallel to it, but it's like loose, so kind of like bowed, hangs down if you like. So if the wire snaps, then the hopefully the kite string should act as a backup, if you like.
Probably a very good idea.
Yeah,
that's the theory.
I just want to address
worst case scenario. When you think about it, if the wire breaks at the bottom, so the kite flies away with the wire trailing beneath it, somewhere probably about 100 foot off the ground, about a mile down the road, there's some overhead power cables. So obviously you don't want a kite sailing through the air with a long piece of wire hanging down underneath it, ready to short out the power cable.
That's why you do not put your call sign on your kite. Yeah.
If found, return too. Yeah.
You want it really so that if it does break, you lose the kite and the wire falls to the ground.
Yeah,
that's the ideal. If it is going to break, you want the kite to go off on its own and the wire to stay behind and not take your radio with it.
Yep. I see that Nathan says he has a Magitana and not have had any success with it yet. And it is a Ribicuff, and actually me and Tim modeled it on my stream. I guess that's the correct way of saying that. Modeled the Ribicuff, and it turns out that it's got to be vertical. If it's a sloper or a horizontal antenna, it doesn't really perform. But if it's a vertical with a lot of radials, that'll work. And I see that he comes with a follow-up here, getting a lot of RF back in the antenna. And you got to use a choke on the antenna. That's my experience.
Choking, ABC, right? Always be choking. I learned that from Bob. Bob said that a couple weeks ago. Now I got that stuck in my head. Always be choking.
Yeah.
Has he got a choke in his feed line? Because I had issues with that until I put a choke in the feed line.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I choke. I've always, like I said, always be choking. I built. I'll put a video. It's coming up tomorrow. But this weekend, I used a vertical half wave. It was a little over 10-meter wire up on a DX commander pole with a 49-to-1, and I used 5% of a wavelength as the counterpoise wire, just a short counterpoise, and I choked the 49-to-1. But I use a real short when I'm portable, especially on the beach, whatever. I use a very short piece of coax. Not I'm like almost up on the antenna with, I don't know, maybe a 4-meter long piece of coax. So I don't have a whole lot to act as a counter. And I can't tell the difference without the choke. It's coming back. SWR, when I'm talking, it's just doing this. When I choke it, it's staying right where I want it. So it makes a big difference. That's a lesson I've learned the hard way is is always be choking. You know what I mean? I'm all about
Yep.
it now. It's a good.
It depends on the
good
antenna type as well. NFED half waves, you need a bit of coax on there anyway, because the shield will act as a counterpoise.
Right.
Unless, of course, you choke that, then you need a separate counterpoise. When I'm portable, I don't tend to bother.
I don't know who
But
the science and who did the math or where it came from, but I found somewhere a while back for an infed half wave to use 5% of a wavelength, so a short coax as the counter.
yeah,
And that's been money for me. I mean, it's worked great, and I do it, for this vertical infed I use for 20 meter infed half wave. I put about a 1 meter choke on it. For the long was the 40 meter infed half waves. I put about 2 meters of counterpoise wire on it, and it seems to work great. With a choke. And I've had some, all the antennas I built in Poland that were out hanging out the second floor window and going out when they were the infed half waves. I would put about 2 meters of wire on as a counterpoise, and I mean I had great success with that. I mean, if someone can explain what's going on and why it's 5% of an overall wavelength as the counter, I'd like to know the science. Maybe we need to get Tim to model that for us and give us that. Find out what's going on there. But it works great. I mean, I can't tell you why. I've just read everyone says try this. I tried it. It worked. I like it. It's worked well for me. The 5% of a wavelength.
Yeah, I never use a counterpoise on an infed half wave, but
completely off here. But sorry, go on.
Yeah, I never use a counterpoise, but I usually use a short piece of jumper coax just before the choke, and I can't really see any difference on performance with and without the counterpoise on it.
That is basically the same thing, because the shield will be your counterpoise.
Yeah.
No difference, I think.
I had a big improvement when I.
Yes, I think that's what might be happening in Nathan's case. I think the.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Sorry.
And James?
So I think that might be what's happening in Nathan's case. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I think that might be what's happening in. I think we've got a bit of a delay on there. So yeah, in Nathan's case, I think what's happening is he's using the shield as the counterpoise, and he's getting RF back into his radio. So to answer his question, I would choke it at the radio end. What I do actually on my base station, I've got an infed half wave at home as well. I choke it at both ends of the coax. So I've got one at the feed point up outside the window up there, and one just before it goes into the radio. And I keep the counterpoise outside. So that's the alternative. If you choke it at the antenna end without a counterpoise, then you'll absolutely kill the antenna. It will be terrible.
Here's the authority right here, M0GQC. You guys know I'm a big fan of his stuff. That's good. That's good to know. Keep it 2 meters or under so it does not radiate. Yeah.
And I actually used a slide winder today, and it performed really good. So I guess, Bob, you got to tell me if you want to sell it at some point.
I'm no good at selling stuff. You can borrow it till you get your own, but I'm no good at selling stuff. Sorry.
I've got two slide winders, and I've also got M0GQC's vertical half wave as well, which is a great antenna. It's great. It's 20 meters vertical half wave for 20. It's got a matching box. That thing was it's pretty awesome too. I'll get back out with it soon. Everything I've ever gotten from him has been amazing. It's good stuff.
So, but speaking of antennas, though, I think the topic today, although a guideline, was building antennas. What are you guys' favorite antenna to build?
Well, I can only tell the easiest antenna to build are wire antennas, obviously, right?
Yeah, the easiest is, let's see here. The easiest is a dipole. Just using some kind of center device and just soldering your coax. But it's not necessarily the most fun antenna to build. And especially in the lower bands, tuning dipole can be rough.
It also very much depends on your environment. You probably don't have, the same conditions on both legs of your dipole. And then it can be tricky, I mean, theory is easy, you know, two wires, resonant lengths, put it up in the free field, everything's perfect. But reality is unfortunately not perfect.
Yeah, it is.
If you're going to do a dipole for, at least in my experience, if you're going to do a dipole for 40 meters, 60 meters, 80, 160, make it run non-resonant. I have it 2 times 22 meter dipole fed with ladder line and a tuner on the ground. It's much simpler. That thing works fantastic. Much simpler than trying to get, especially for me that I never operate at the same place twice. So cutting an antenna that will work the next place I put it up, that's just not going to work. So a feed point
right, that's also a consideration when building your antenna. Are you building in place? Do you already know where it will be, and will it stay there all the time? Then it's probably a different antenna you build than when you take it around to different locations.
Exactly. I had that experience when I started making my dipole kits and selling them, and I sent a couple of just trials out that were pre-made, pre-built, and the amount of complaints that the antenna was not resonant I got back made me just sell them as kits instead. So then I can't tune an antenna for any kind of environment, but people can do that when they build the antenna instead.
That's so true.
Talking about the type of antenna as well, I think it depends where you're setting the antenna up. Because I tried, when I first started trying to get a station set up here at my home location, I tried a lot of quarter wave verticals in the back garden, and they were absolutely rubbish. But then you take them out on the SOTA Summit, they work absolutely fantastic. And I think what's happening is if you look at the takeoff angle on that, you look at 5 degrees off the horizon on a quarter wave vertical at ground level.
You have houses all around, right?
Like this. Houses, cars, vans, sheds, people's fences. You've got all sorts in the way. So if you're in a built-up location like I am, you really need to get that antenna above the roof line. But if you're doing something like a SOTA or POTA, you're out in the middle of nowhere, then you can work at ground level, and it can be extremely effective. I've done Australia on 10 watts from here with the quarter wave vertical, 20 meters. So it's all about the location as well.
Yeah, well, you'll like my video that's coming out tomorrow, because I worked Australia from here with a vertical and 10 watts. You know what I mean? And that's really, you're right. It's all about the location. I was on the beach, so I'm very fortunate where I live at. I live near what essentially opens out to the Chesapeake Bay. It's a high salinity. I'm right on the water. Even my home base here, I'm like right on top of the water. And I have what many people say, they call it a dummy load, but that thing works great. I have the Sigma Eurocom HF360, the no radial vertical, multi-band vertical. And it's all about the location. Where I'm at, that thing is a beast, but it's only because where I'm at. And I got it mounted on top of a metal roof. So, and the question originally was, what is your favorite antenna? The funny thing is mine changes all the time. It's like, I have a favorite antenna and I have it favorite for a little while, and then I'll go play with someone else. Like, oh, wow, I really like this. Like right now I'm in the vertical halfway stage. You know what I mean? That's my favorite.
And sometimes you can also sometimes you can also be misled by the band conditions, right? You think, hey, I built this new antenna, it's the best antenna I've ever had, and then it's just the band conditions being particularly good on that day.
I think there should be a law requiring you to go on at least 10 activation with a new antenna before you tell anyone about it and how fantastic it is.
I mean, there is a force of nature, though. When you build a new antenna, you can be sure that the bands are going to be dead for at least 2 weeks once you put up a new antenna.
We said here that
or there's a major contest on at the time you decided to do your POTA.
Exactly.
We said favorite antenna that you build. I did a video a while back of my top 10 favorite antennas, and the number one is still my number one. Getting out easy, quick, fast. I mean, a coil with a whip on top of it, I can be up and running in like 2-3 minutes. You know what I mean? Building an antenna is going to take me a little while longer. You know what I mean? So as far as for ease, it's a bolt antenna. It's not. I didn't build it. But as far as quick and easy and being able to, to operate, a coil and a whip is nice. Or for some people, like like Tim, a mag mount with an antenna on top of his car. G5TM does it all the time. Does some amazing things with it. I'm sure it's some of his favorites. He also uses a coil and a vertical. That's easy. But we were saying as far as building an antenna, for me, a vertical, a wire on a pole. We could call it anything you want: a quarter wave vertical, halfway vertical, a Rivikoff. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it. For me, because of my, as James was saying earlier, it depends on your location and your situation. Because of my location, being by the water, being by a beach, a vertical, you know what I mean, on a pole. And that's kind of the cool thing about it, is I can experiment with different lengths, different transformers, different setups, different things. That's my favorite, is a vertical.
Yeah. My favorite antenna that I built was not flat. I went hiked up to Soto Summit and I forgot my antenna wire back in the car. And on top there was like a fire tower where you could look out, and they had some huge, like, thick gauge wire just lying around, just remains. So I just strung that over the tower, and that fit perfectly into the PL or the SO239 hole of my transformer, 49-1 transformer, and that worked perfectly. I ran 20 meters on it, and I tuned with a TEHRS radio. So that was not planned, and it wasn't a build, but it worked, and that was like really fun because it saved the activation. The funniest I built is a quarter wave, like a small, like, ground plane antenna for 2 meters, and that's just because it was like the first non-dipole antenna I ever built, and it worked. And it was with a 3D printed parts for it. It looked cool, and it actually worked quite well. It's not advanced in any way, but it's fun.
But but I mean, I didn't start out making dipoles. My first antenna was a 2 meter, 70 centimeter handheld Yagi for satellite work, because I was naive enough to think that that was easy to build. Because a guy I got licensed with, he bought I think they're called Arrows, aren't they? The handheld satellite antennas.
Yeah.
And he bought one of those to use for satellites, and I figured I should be able to build one of those. So about 3 weeks later, with a lot of prototyping, 3D printed parts, half a clothes drying rack later, I had something that worked, and it actually I still use it. It's really good, but I wouldn't recommend it for a first antenna.
Yeah.
This sounds like if for those who's watching Top Gear, it's a sort of a how hard can it be moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that you're sharing something, Kjetil.
Yeah, this is related to a comment earlier about where you activate. After looking at the work with a lot of geologists at work, these are 2 POTA areas and Profama areas. And I've activated this part, the gray part, and in there, radio works fine. Over here, this is a dead zone, like it does not work. And HF radio is dead in the pink zone, and that turned out to be a very heavily magnetic laden bedrock with a lot of radon radiation coming off. Bit off topic, but still, when you're testing antennas, being here and here, which is 100 meters apart, that can kill wherever you're working. So
we cannot see your pointer on the map though, Kjetil.
Yeah, being in the gray zone or in the pink zone.
Yeah.
I think the important bit is not really whether you're in the gray zone or in the pink zone, but it's that you stay at the same spot testing different antennas on different days. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. But that's a bit of a discretion, but still, that was really fun hearing the reason, because I've been there so many times with antennas that were great other places. I've done like activations like an hour before, and then everything is just dead. That's also a fun part of this. Not just antenna part, but knowing, can I activate here? Like, is there anything else that affects it? Of course, up here in the north, we have to deal with auroras in winter, like geomagnetic storms. At the K level of 3, it's much harder to activate here than farther south in Europe, or probably in the States as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's another good point too, that antennas and the time of the year. And sometimes it's just time of the year it dictates a little bit of the antenna you're using. Like right now, where I'm at, 10 meters is gone. It's summertime. It's hot. I mean, other than some tropo or something, 10 meters is the muff never gets above 22 megahertz right now where I'm at in the States. Everybody's like, yeah, so much for solar cycle 25. I'm like, you don't understand. This is summertime. You know what I mean? This is what's going on. As soon as the fall here in the Northern Hemisphere kicks back in, just like it was in the spring, you guys remember how 10 meters was a few, 2 or 3 months ago, man. It was off the chain. And it's going to be that way again. I try to tell people that. But that also dictates type of antenna, the band you're using or whatever. You know, it's got a lot to do with it. There's so many cool antennas I want to build for 10 meters, but I just got to wait. You know what I mean? Because I got to wait for 10 meters to start opening back up again. I think we're getting ready to really see a peak in 10 meters here in another couple months.
But six has been great the last couple of weeks, though. I've made a lot of 6 meter contacts.
Don't say that. My 6 meter antenna is in the basement with me on the roof.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
And as I told you, I got an extra 6 meter beam, though.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
a summer band. Unlike 160, that's more winter. But opposite of that, have any of you found some sort of antenna wire that works well in winter? Like at least if you use soda beams wire, if you go like 20 Celsius below freezing or colder, then it just falls apart. That looks very heavy.
That is very heavy. I'm using a cable like James talked about, but I think it's a lot thinner. DX50, that's fairly coarse, isn't it, James?
Yeah, it's very heavy, that stuff. Yeah,
but
relatively heavy. It's all right if you got a good kite pulling it up. I wouldn't use it for SOTA on like a 7 meter spider beam or something like that.
But are you talking about portable antenna, or at home antenna?
A portable antenna.
Portable. Okay. I was going to put up my my favorite wire for at home, but that won't work portable though. So
a nice copper would be fine.
The company that was in Norway that was called Eidolon, I think they sold Kevlar in copper wire with the Kevlar in it. That was the same thickness as the yellow soda beams wire, and that thing has I think it has a breaking strength of 60 kilos. So it's pretty amazing. I used that all throughout winter. There was never a problem rolling it up or rolling it back in, and it never broke. And also my wire antenna outside, which is from the top of the 12 meter flagpole, it's the same wire, never broke.
If that's the SOTA beam wire, I have broken that. I broke it with a kite.
Yeah. I've never had any issues with soda beams wire, but then again, I don't usually go out to activate when it's 20 below zero. But at home, I actually just use standard home install electric cable, 2.5 square millimeters.
That's too heavy for logging up mountains. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's way too stiff and way too heavy for portable use. But it's fantastic for at home use. And people say it stretches, but let's be honest. By the time that wire is stretched, you're probably 3 antennas later.
Stretching is not a problem. Right. We have this anti-stretching tool that we can use from the wire stretches.
That's right. Funny thing, I just found one of the very first antennas I built. I don't know why it's here in the shack still 20 years later, but I can grab it here. I don't think that's
disappearing into your background.
Yeah,
but that's a J-pole.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's a 2 meter, 70 centimeter J-pole with a little magnet at the bottom, and you just basically cut it to length, and then you have compared to the rubber duck you get on your handset, that's a big improvement already. So, yeah, I can recommend building that if you're a new ham.
Yeah, J-poles are easy, and just the bog standard quarter wave vertical or a dipole for a new ham. It's just to learn how to make antennas, and then you can move on to 2 meter, 70 centimeter.
Exactly, and these days it's just also much easier. You get your nano VNA for $50, and it's so much easier to build antennas than what it used to be, right? If I remember, like getting your CB antenna resonant like in the 80s. You spent a day, yeah, because you just tuned it to the channel, I don't know, 20 at the time, and then took the measurement, and you never know, are you too short, are you too long, where is the dip? And these days, you see it on one.
You have to turn the knob to calibrate it each time. Yeah.
Exactly. They took ages, yeah. And this time, you just hook up the Nano VNA and you see, oh, I'm too short, or oh, I'm too long. It's just
Yeah.
You know what? Though? This is the one part of the hobby, building antennas, that where people still build. I know, Morten, you and Tobias just built a Pixie. My first thing, I was 13 years old. I built my first receiver, all soldering from a kit or whatever. I think everybody here has probably built something like that. But that's kind of going away in the hobby, and it's kind of like the last thing where people really think and experiment and build is antennas in ham radio, because everyone's out buying the latest Yaesu or ICOM and doing their, they're not really building things much anymore. I'm not saying everybody. There are a lot of people still in the hobby that build kits and experiment with it, but it's probably not as prevalent in ham radio as it used to be. But it seems like, especially guys that operate a lot of portable, building antennas is there. Everybody wants to build an antenna and experiment with antennas. And it's my favorite part of the hobby. Yeah, I'm not going to lie too, but it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
But the reason we buy the radios is that we will have more time to build antennas.
There you go. I like that. That's
yeah.
I think the reason we buy radios is because we're realistically speaking well-off middle-aged men that needs to have something to spend our money on. Not because we need the radios, but because there's something we really want to have.
Of course, we need the radios. Now you're just talking.
I've got way too many radios. I got to tell you, cheap ones though. Like I told. Abe, Smoking Ape, the other day, they were talking about Yaesus and ICOMs. I said, I don't buy the sushi radios. I buy the Kung Pao chicken radios here. They're cheaper and easier to get more of them that way, But
then again, you get to a point where you start giving away radios, and my 2-meter, 70-centimeter base station at home is starting not to act like it's supposed to. And I figured I can change it I probably have another radio somewhere. And I started thinking, and I've given away all my backup radios. So
I'm a collector. I don't give away radios. I just can't do it. I can't part with them, man. As soon as I have a radio, even if it's a bad radio, it's like you're with me forever.
But I mean, if there are new hams that need stuff, I will more than happily give things away, because that's what the older hams did to me when I got licensed. And I've gotten a ton of free gear that is actually pretty expensive, and I don't want to sell that gear, but I can give it away to someone that's new in the hobby.
Yeah, roger that.
And then I've had some sponsored radios, and I've given away most of those as well, at least the ones I didn't like myself.
James, what's your main rig, your main radio for portable?
So is that for me? I've got a bit of a selection. I've got ICOM 703, which I actually sold, regretted it, and ended up buying back. I've got an ICOM 705, which is probably the one I use most often. And if I want a bit more power, I've got a Yaesu FT857 as well. So I take a slightly bigger battery out, run 100 watts with that. So it depends what I want to do, really.
Do you do any QRP?
How far I've got to carry it uphill.
Yeah. Do you do much QRP, or do you try to work more?
Down to about 10 watts.
Yeah, that's QRP.
I've rarely run less than 10 watts. I have done a couple of videos where I've run down to. In fact, I did a SOTA Summit where I ran 2.5 watts on FM and had a pile up. I put a video out saying, life's too short for QRP. I disagree. And a couple of people commented saying, oh, well, you wouldn't have done that on HF, So about 6 months later, I went back to the same hill and ran it on 2 watts. And again, massive pile up on HF 2 watts. So life's too short for QRP. I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I would wish, I really want to be that guy that enjoys QRP, but I got to be honest. If I have more power available, I'm going to use it. And I've noticed, and I got the 6100, and I tend to use it with an amplifier, which kind of defeats the purpose. So I don't really know what I want to do now. I'm looking into if someone wants to trade that for, let's say, an 857 or an 891. That kit, that'd be great. But as of now, I'm probably sticking with that. And at least it gives some flexibility. You can use an amplifier if you're doing parks in the air, and you can use just the QRP when you're out on a longer hike.
I made up with QRP. I love it.
Absolutely. Do a bit of both. I mean,
the satisfaction that you get from QRP contacts have a little bit more thrill to them than a 100-watt contact. And I absolutely get off on a good QRPQ. So I was like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? It pumps me up. I'm like, this is cool. Because, and I really, James, you would know this too. It's one of the reasons why I kind of get on the soapbox and talk about how the UK does licensing, right? I know you guys are getting ready to go through a change, but in the United States, the entry level, the technician really doesn't get any HF, privileges. They get a little bit of 10 meters. That's it.
I've never understood that.
Yeah. And me either. And the way you guys do it at the entry level where you can use 10 watts, that's what the United States should be doing. Because in order to become a good HF operator, I think operating QRP makes you learn how to make a better antenna, how to study the conditions, the atmosphere, what's going on and everything, so you can make those contacts. And I think, I've been a proponent for the United States.
There's 10-watt stations out there that put out a louder signal than any of us could. There's I've got a group of friends. One of us has just kept with the M6. He couldn't be bothered to upgrade his license. He just loves QRP, and you got the full licenses like myself. I'll put out anything from 100. Well, I've got 250-watt linear amp down there, and his signal's still louder than mine. It's all about the antenna. It's about the antenna. Get the antenna right.
All right, and I think if here in the States, if our people would learn that the technicians would be better operators and would learn more, and become better. Everyone, I'm an extra. But a lot of people goes, well, like you just said, if all the guy ever wants to be is QRP, he's not going to try to move up the ladder. Who cares? If that's what he likes, let him be that. Like now, a lot of technicians that are just VHF, UHF guys, and that's good for them. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know a lot of technician types that are like, God, I want to get my general. I want to move up, which our general is intermediate. I want to get there so I can get on HF. And I really feel like they should have been able to get on HF from the start, like the foundation is in the UK. I think the foundation license, the UK, I believe Australia is the same way, whatever. That is the way to start ham radio. It really is. And it's a shame that the States aren't that way.
Or you can do,
you guys get it all right from the start.
Yeah, I was going to say you can do it like we do, get all the privileges at once. But it's a tougher license, though.
That's coming to an end in Norway now. There's going to be a new license class, and as I understand, it's going to be like you describe it, Walt. You get all the privileges, but maximum 10 watts. So
yeah, it's going to be a beginner's license, and I think that's a great thing because that will draw people into the hobby and be kind of a gateway drug. But
as always, Germany is lagging behind a bit at the moment. You get with a small license, you just get the VHF, UHF. But there's a new question catalog. I think it goes in effect maybe 2024. I'm not sure. People can correct me down in the comments. And then I think the entry license will also, the new entry license will also allow 10 meter. But so it's closer probably to what the US already has right now and still far, far away to what you guys in the UK do.
Yeah, we were on a pretty hard deadline because you were going on to another stream, James. So I guess we need to start wrap up because that takes usually a good 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, we've lined it up for 9:15, so give me a few minutes after tonight to just reconfigure my computer and everything else. So I've got till about 5:05 I can do.
Yeah, and will that stream be on your channel?
I believe we're going out on 2 channels. So we're going out on my channel, and we got Callum DX Commander involved as well. I think he's going to stream simultaneously. So
Okay.
take your pick, basically, one or the other.
Yeah, and I guess
We're hoping to get a few. We've got a few of the guys who didn't mega stream with us as well.
Yeah, supporting the smaller channel, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you're not subscribed to James's channel, go ahead and do that. And as I usually say, if you're not subscribed to any of our channels, go ahead and do that as well. Even Bob's got a YouTube channel now.
I think I have close to 40 subscribers now. Not that I'm making videos, but I have the channel. I have to say, when I got back interested in radio before and working on my license, I haven't been licensed that long. James was some of the first videos I saw, and I really enjoyed those videos, James. That was that kept the motivation for continuing.
Yeah, I think the thing is, when you're starting a YouTube channel, the first sort of couple of hundred subscribers, it seems to take forever. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of explodes, and you think, "What the hell happened there?" You know, where did all those people come from? So I think we're up to about 1,800 on mine at the moment, or just over. So it's gaining traction. It kind of caught me off guard, really.
It is. Once you pass about 500, it's just snowballs.
Don't take this wrong, anybody here.
Yep.
But my favorite YouTubers are all in the UK. I like the UK guys. Morton, I love you guys. James, the channel, but I just like the way that the UK YouTubers YouTube. I mean, James, Colin, Chris, Tim, those guys. For some reason, you guys, James, I mean this. You guys just get into the topic and do a video on the topic, and I enjoy that. You're not. I get on my soapbox all the time. You're not trying to.
Oh, what? we lost Walt.
No, he's on his way up on the soapbox, I think.
That was happening when he said he don't like.
I'm just gonna say that was not me.
That's what happened when you say you don't like the guy with the kick button.
Walt's back.
Hey, somebody got me there. I don't know what happened. It just dropped. But
you just said you preferred the.
You can. I mean, we all talk to each other. We got this.
Yeah, you wanted to go on Callum's stream, yeah, right, Walt?
I've been on Callum's stream. I've been there before, but I was just saying. I mean that, and I mean this really from the bottom of my heart, James. You guys, you're a great YouTuber. You're one of my favorites, and I've caught one of the first guys I subscribed to as well. And I enjoy you guys in the UK a whole lot. I mean, it's a little bit different, and like I said, a different culture and atmosphere than American YouTubers. So I enjoy you guys.
Yeah, let's just try to wrap up though, because I see the clock is.
I think recently I've got to the stage where I've been a bit sparse on the output on my channel. To be fair, I've kind of got to the stage where I'm trying to do quality over quantity, because it got to a stage where I've got so many videos that are all the same. I go out on a SOTA summit, I activate it, I get drenched and covered and soaked, and then walk back down to the car in the rain, and every video is the same. So I'm sort of trying to do a little bit different now. We're doing a few live streams here and there as well, so just trying to kind of diversify the channel a bit, because otherwise it gets a bit, like I say, it gets a bit repetitive. So my output has been a little bit sparse over the last few months. I've just changed jobs as well, so that hasn't helped. Been busy with that. So
exactly. James, anything coming up on your channel while we're at the subject?
Not an awful lot planned, I don't think. Like I say, we're going to be announcing what's on this bit of paper, the results in about 9:15, so about 15 minutes. We'll be going live with that.
So
other than that, just take it as it comes, I think. I'm going out to America next week for work, so I'll be out the loop for a few days.
So doing any ham radio in the US?
What's that?
No.
I'm literally I'm there for 24 hours.
Okay.
James, where are you going to be?
Down in Denver. Going to Denver for like I say, I'm only there 24 hours. I've got to go out for a meeting, so I'll fly out on the Tuesday, get there Tuesday afternoon, one night in a hotel, meeting in the morning, straight back. So I'm literally in the country 24 hours.
Including jet lag.
Yeah.
Nice.
But let's just continue the wrap up. Walt, your channel next week. Anything exciting going on?
I'm going to tomorrow post a video from that I filmed yesterday morning on the beach with the vertical half wave antenna, working VK QRP. That was a lot of fun. I've already cleared it with the XYL. We're going to hit the beach one night this week, and I'm going to put up. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I got to think about that. Probably take the X6100 out for its first portable run one night this week here in Virginia Beach, and do that. So that's about it, and see what happens. I'm like you. I'm working a lot of hours right now. I'm going back on 6 days a week of working, so be putting in a lot of work time. So I try to have a little bit of fun in the evenings, and that's my plan.
Mm-hmm. Kjetil, anything planned?
Not really. Weather is nice. Hopefully there will be soaked up. I haven't done that in ages, it feels like. So most likely I'll be trying out some new photography with the Insta360 camera, seeing if I can get some nice shots with a combination of that and the drone. But yeah, not sure. As James said, SOTA videos very quickly go for like, it's the same as all the other summits.
Mm-hmm.
So gotta see if I can find something fun there.
Exactly. Bob?
Yeah, there's my regular two nets, 10 meters and 2 meters sideband. And me and my son are going to Cyprus. So next Sunday I'll be streaming from Cyprus.
Awesome.
Bringing a radio?
Yes, I am, and a QRP one at that. So I will bring the 817 and the small inverted V 20-meter antenna. That's the plan, at least. And I will bring a computer so I can do FT8 if all else fails. But the plan is to try and activate at least one park and at least one summit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You flying into Larnaca? You headed to Larnaca? Is that where you're going to be?
That's where I'm landing, and we're going to Ayia Napa to stay. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tobias, anything next week except getting your shoulder back in shape?
Yeah, it will be a busy week for my shoulder. 3 physio sessions, 1 doctor's appointment. So probably 1 day left where I have time for ham radio. Maybe I'll do a wrap up on the Pixie. Like in the background, you see I checked again the TEHRS output of my build. And last night I said I only get like 150 milliwatt, but that was a fluke with my CW Kia because it was not really switching the transistors through 100%. So I tried again, and actually, yeah, it gives you the half watt or 450 milliwatt. And the curve that came out of the thing does not look too bad. It looks like a proper sine wave here if I'm bending around. So yeah, it looks actually better than I thought. Of course, it gets easily overloaded because it doesn't have an attenuator on the RX side. But I mean, for what it is and for $11, I guess we all had fun building it.
Exactly. It was a fun build, and it was really fun to build something that made that little red LED light up.
You will get it running, and when you get it running, we try to make a QSO, Morten.
Actually, I think the problem is I think it's the solder bridge though on the key cable, which I thought I got out, but I probably didn't get it out properly. So that's the first place I'm going to check and see if that has anything to do with it. Besides that, I'm going back to work after vacation next week, so not a lot of radio at that time. I think I got a couple of things waiting for me or coming in the mail. Hopefully next week. I bought all-in-one cable, the AIOC from Bert Klaas, which is a supporter of this channel. So I'm hoping that'll arrive soon. I got 2 radios coming up. Looking forward to testing those, and a 104 centimeter or 48.5 inch Abri. So not because it is actually a good antenna. It's not a practical antenna, but it's a good 2-meter antenna. So I'm going to take a look at those if I have time. Video wise, I got 2 POTA videos coming out. And hopefully I've tried to make them a little bit different than all my other POTA videos. As we've discussed, it is hard to make different kind of videos after you've churned out 10, 20 POTA videos. But I got 1 POTA exactly on the Norwegian-Swedish border, pretty much. And then I got our POTA rove that we did, Bob, together with LB7VJ. And it's going to be fun for you viewers to see if we made the rove or not, if we managed to get 5 parks. And those are the videos that are lined up. And yeah, I guess my radio time next week will be 2 meters, 70 centimeter from the car.
We'll speak in the evenings, yeah, when you travel home. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Just make sure you're on the right repeater, and we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
Henning says my ham meet up. Yeah, I'm doing a ham fest August 20th in Moss, Norway. If anyone want to come there at the place where I work, I'll do some details on that. I guess most of my viewers aren't Norwegian, but if you want to take the trip to Norway, we can make something work out. There'll be hopefully some guys having lectures. If that guy 2 spots to my, I guess that's my right for you guys, says yes to what I've asked him about, and the other guys. And there'll be buying, selling used radios, and just a good time for hams. 6 hours, Sunday, August 20th.
Cool.
And besides that, we have a guest in 2 weeks. I don't know if we should drop that now or not, just as a final note.
Do it.
Go on.
Do it.
Yeah.
Spoilers are always good.
He's one
Spoilers
of
are-
my
spoilers.
favorite UK guys. How about that? We'll talk
Yeah,
about it.
he's one of the YouTubers that has changed his channel the most, I know. He's not afraid of trying new things on his channel, and that's Ringway Manchester. He'll be joining us in 2 weeks.
Ah, good.
I'm still working on a guest for next week, so we'll see what happens.
I got to tell this story real quick before we go about Lewis. So I messaged Lewis, and Morton was in the message with me, and I said, Lewis, man, we'd love to have you on the show. And he messaged me back. He said, I can't do it next week, but I could be there the week after. And he's laying on the beach or by the pool in Portugal. I was like a boss, baby. That was.
So I guess that's it for now. Make sure you go over to, and since Walt got out, I don't know where to point, but to James's channel there. Make sure to go to his channel. Lionel says that New York City to Oslo is not expensive, and it's just an hour south of Oslo, Lionel, if you want to get
That's
there.
a lie. I'm going to New York City from Oslo in a couple of months, and that is expensive. That's a damn lie.
It's expensive that way, but it's cheap to get here.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So, but if you decide to come, Lionel, send me a message and we'll work something out. And on that note, 7-3, y'all.
7-3, guys.
Bye,
That's
guys.
right.
Thanks a lot. 7-3. Thanks.